What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicy Jet Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Rooney, and it's game week. The New York Jets finally have a real-life football game this Saturday in Lambeau Field in Green Bay. We're finally back. There was a game last week, didn't involve the Jets, but it was good to just have football back. And it feels nice to know that, hey, we got to get ready for an actual game. Now, of course, doesn't count. It's just preseason. It's the first preseason game, so who knows who's going to play. But we'll talk a little bit about what I expect for that first preseason game this Saturday. And I'm very excited for it just because I just need to see our team on an actual field against another team. So we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk a little bit about, I went to practice on Saturday. It was the green and white scrimmage. Well, it wasn't really a scrimmage. It was like the green and white practice, whatever you want to call it. So I'll talk a little bit about what my experience was like there because there were some ups and there were definitely a lot of downs that we want to talk about. We're not going to do a gym break this week just because I'll lightly touch on the Mets and that's really it. And then we'll go into the Jets just released their first official depth chart of the preseason. So we'll walk through it, see what are some of the things that I, maybe was surprised about, maybe some things that I wasn't that surprised about, and kind of go from there. Now, obviously, everything's in flux. Everything can change over the next couple weeks, but we're really only 5 Sundays away from Jets football with week 1 coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers at the beginning of September. So, all right, let's get started with, obviously, a trivia question. So my trivia question for this week is, in 2009, the New York Jets made a splash in the NFL draft by trading up from number 17 to number 5. They drafted Mark Sanchez, and in that trade, we traded with the Cleveland Browns. My question to you is, who was the quarterback the Jets traded away in that trade? So they traded from 17, so they traded their 17th pick, their second round pick, which was 52 overall. They traded defensive end Kenyon Coleman and safety Abram Elam and one other player who was a quarterback. Who was the quarterback they traded away to our good old buddy, Eric Mangini? So, good luck with the trivia question. Hope you get it right. Wasn't that long ago. It was, this was 2009. Yeah, actually it was pretty long ago. It was a little over 15 years ago now. So, yeah, good luck with that one. But all right, let's talk a little bit about this game this weekend. So we got the Jets playing the Packers in Green Bay. Unfortunately, it's an away game. I'm not going to be going this time around. I just was in Green Bay for the draft literally like 4 months ago, so not worth it for me to make that trip just for a preseason game. But if it was a regular season game, I would 100% be there, and I will tell you, for anyone out there listening, Green Bay and Lambeau Field is the number 1 football destination you must go to as a fan. If the New York Jets or any other team that you are playing against has a game in Green Bay, you must go. It is a bucket list item. You have to check off the list. And I'm telling you, it's going to be an experience that's well worth it. The people there are great. The atmosphere is amazing. It's literally a town built for football. And it is an absolutely incredible time. So definitely do that if you haven't gotten a chance to yet. But this weekend, what am I looking for? I really don't know what Aaron Glenn's going to do. He said in his press conference earlier this week that we're going to wait and see how the week goes before determining whether starters are going to play in the preseason game this weekend. My guess is they hold Justin Fields out with the foot, so I don't think we're going to see him. I imagine they'd hold out guys like Sauce, Garrett. Quinnen's definitely out because he's got that ankle injury. I don't really want to see the linebackers. I don't need to see Sherwood or Williams. The offensive line, I don't really need to see AVT out there. I'm good with the younger guys. That's fine. Even like Will McDonald, I don't need to see him get hurt. Andre Cisco, I don't need to see. So I'm very much in the I'm okay not playing some of the starters for this game because next week we really ramp up with live practices with the Giants. So we're going head-to-head in practice with them. And then, of course, leading up to that Giants game. So I think they're going to go much harder next week. So I'd rather save everybody up, not get anybody hurt, don't risk anything there. And we have a lot of young guys that need playing time, so I'd love to see them. Same thing with Brees. I don't need to see Brees either. Even Braylon Allen, I can see him for a drive or two and pull him out. We've got a lot of young guys I want to see. So I don't think it's going to be the most exciting game you've ever watched in your life. I think for diehards like me, where I get to see the second, third, and fourth string players out there and the young ones who may make an impact 2 or 3 years down the line. That's the stuff that I'm going to get excited about, especially like our draft picks, um, some of the young undrafted free agents that we have on the team, maybe some folks we've gotten in previous years, like a Leonard Taylor, for example, Braden McGregor, guys like that I want to see if they can make the team or not. So for me, I'll be excited. I will recap the whole game as well because, of course, I'm going to watch it. I'll be locked in, ready to roll. But, it's just good to get back and see how Aaron Glenn calls a game, how Engstrand calls a game, and how it all goes. So very excited for this Saturday. Hopefully, just fingers crossed you don't want anyone getting hurt. That's really the big deal. But all right, let's talk a little bit about training camp. So obviously a week has gone on, and on, I believe it was Friday, the offense had like the greatest practice they've ever had. Justin Fields was locked in. Everything was looking great. And then what happens? Then I go to practice on Saturday, and it was probably one of the worst practices I've gone to in person. It just reminded me of what the Jets have been for the past 10 years, which is very undisciplined. Um, Quarterback couldn't really get anything going. We couldn't score in the red zone. There were missed opportunities, flags all over the place. It really was not like an encouraging practice from an offensive perspective. Now let's talk about the good before I get into the deep of what was bad. So the good was the secondary was unreal. They were locked down for most of practice. I think Justin Fields went 2 for 10, and a lot of that wasn't really on Justin. A lot of it was on the coverage being outstanding and the pressure breaking down. So they were all coverage sacks, essentially, is what was going on there, where, Sauce was locked down. I thought Brandon Stevens played awesome. The safeties were all over. Michael Carter was in a lot of plays. He did get run over once by, I think it was Isaiah Davis, which is kind of funny. But I thought the secondary played really well. And same thing with the second and third string. I thought they were great. Another person I do want to call out is Isaiah Davis in particular. Isaiah Davis had a great practice. I feel like he was breaking through the hole every time they gave him the ball. Like I said, he ran over Michael Carter, which was cool to see because Isaiah Davis isn't like your Braylon Allen. He's not huge. He's more shifty and things like that. So I thought he had an incredible practice. Shout out to one of our tight ends. Actually, I'll shout out 2 tight ends. Stone Smart had 2 touchdowns off from Tyrod Taylor in practice, so you can really see those hands. He's not a great blocker, but man, he can go up and get the ball. So it was cool to see Stone Smart get into the action and score some touchdowns. And then I'll also call out Zach Kuntz. He has been on the team for like 3 years now, has never really made the roster. He was activated just a couple times at the end of a season. He's an athletic freak. He's huge. His RAS score, which is that relative athletic score that they use during like the draft process, was like a 10 out of 10. You can't get higher than what Zach Kuntz was. He just had injuries in college. So we know he's a freak, and he played well. He had a couple catches, but can he break through? That's the big question. So I thought they played really well. Will McDonald, he's awesome. He's in the backfield constantly. There was one play I caught him sacking, I think it was Justin Fields twice in one play because they just like let the play run, and he got him again. So I thought he played really well. Who else? Oh, man. Quincy Williams was fast. At one play at the end of practice, he comes out of nowhere and actually hits Justin Fields. Now, remember, these quarterbacks are wearing red jerseys saying, "Do not hit me." But Quincy Williams got in there so fast on a blitz that he popped Justin right in the head, which he got an earful from Aaron Glenn, of course, because you can't do that. We can't hurt our quarterback. But he did a really great job, and he's just so quick. Other players I want to call out. Let's talk about Corley. Corley had 2 catches. I finally saw him on the field, so it was really nice to see Corley like actually get involved in practice and make some plays because I feel like he's just like not taking advantage of the opportunities in front of him, and now it's starting to come to fruition. Now he's going to get a lot of playing time and run during practice or during the preseason games, especially this one this weekend. So excited to see what he can do. Like, let's get him out there, get the ball in his hands, and see if he can make this roster. Like, come on, Corley. I don't want to give up on this guy. So I'm really excited about Malachi. Other people, I guess another huge one that everyone's going to be excited about. While Justin Fields did not have a great day passing, not all of his fault. He's still very slow to make decisions, but I still don't blame him because I thought the coverage was so great and the offensive line was just breaking down in front of him. The passing, the pass protection was just not on point on Saturday. But man, he can run. He had one really long touchdown. I think it was like a 25-yard run, which was cool to see. Now, who knows if it was like, you can actually hit the quarterback if he actually would have, gotten tackled or been short of the goal line. But the fact that he was willing and able to just run, it's just a part of the game we've never seen before because we've never had a quarterback like him. The Jets have really never in our entire existence had a running quarterback. We had like Michael Vick when he was like 40, so that doesn't count. Like Zach could run a little bit, but he never knew when to run. Same thing with Sam. Like there was flashes, but he never knew when to do it because he was panicking and couldn't read the defense. So yeah, this is it was an interesting one, that's for sure. And I'm very excited about what Justin Fields can do running the ball. And his foot looked fine. I know he's got like his leg was wrapped up a little bit. I think he's got a metal plate in his shoe that goes over his toe, but he was running all over the place and he looked fine. So I think if there was, like I said last week, if there was a game that he had to play in on Saturday, he would play if it was the regular season. So that was good. Let me think if there was any other really big positives that I want to take away from this. I'm just looking through some of my notes here. No, that's really it. I think those were like the big parts of practice that we were excited about. So mostly the defense, um, and then yeah, not a ton from the offense. But let's talk about the problems. So the bad parts of this practice. Got to be number one, that pass protection. Pass protection was not good. Um, the way they set up the ones was because John Simpson is out with an injury, who was our left guard. They decided to go with Myers at center and Joe Tippmann at left guard, which I thought was interesting. I think it gets your five best are on the field in that point. I'm curious if they flip flop in practice today. It wasn't really open, so like no one could validate that for me about whether they flipped it where Myers was at guard and Tippmann was at center. But yeah, the pass protection was just not good. So bad day for the offensive line. I thought in the run game they were a little bit better, but I also thought the running backs made a lot out of a little. So shout out to Brees, Braylon, and Isaiah for that. Um, penalties. Penalties were just a disgrace. It felt like you couldn't even watch the offense because every play they made, there was a penalty. And it was the dumb penalties too. It was the holdings, it was the false starts, illegal procedure, shift, all that kind of stuff. So it was brutal to watch. It was like watching the Jets in December during all these years where they've been out of it, where like Trevor Siemian or Luke Falk is your quarterback and you can't even move the ball. It was like really tough to watch. Now, trust me, I understand this is one practice and they're trying to get better and learn and all that good stuff, but it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth as a Jets fan. And I know all these like beat reporters are like, come on, you got to cut them some slack and all that stuff. I'm like, you don't understand what we've been through. The fact that like, oh, it's practice, it's supposed to work on things. We say that every year and then they never look any better. So like, that's why this was just tough to watch. And I understand I'm going to take a step back. If they look good in the preseason games, I'm going to feel a lot better. But that was the last practice I'm going to be at for this entire summer. So it's a tough way to end watching that unfold like that. So yeah, the penalties were just embarrassing. I couldn't take it. What else was not good? Josh Reynolds. He had two perfect passes from Justin Fields thrown to him, and he didn't attack the ball. On one play, he just reached out with one hand when he easily could have gotten two hands out, and it would have been for a touchdown. Where he kind of just like la-di-da, like let it kind of go off his one hand, where, jump up and attack the ball with two hands. So that was one. The second one, you can kind of give Sauce Gardner some credit. He was covering him in the end zone. And once again, he just put his hands straight up. He didn't really attack the ball because he would have gotten in better position than Sauce because he's just as tall as him to make a play, and he just didn't do it. So I was a little down on Josh Reynolds after that practice, but I will say Alan Lazard is still not anywhere to be seen. So like, I don't think I saw him catch a pass. So we kind of need Reynolds because I don't know what Lazard is doing, and I really haven't seen him. So that was bad. We talked about the penalties, field goals. Holy cow, awful. I know that there were moments where they went back a little bit and were kicking some from 50. But man, Nick Folk did not look good. Harrison Mevis did not look good. The thicker kicker was off. There was one time where Mevis missed 3 in a row, and then they just stopped kicking with a ball from then on out. They would run like the special teams as if you were going to kick an extra point or a field goal, but then not have a ball. So they'd snap nothing, and then they pretend to kick nothing. It was like, maybe because like the fans were getting restless and kind of booing a little bit, But yeah, that was not great. Um, some other bad things that happened. We had some injuries. Chris Boyd, who is our special teams ace that we signed because Irv Charles is going to be out for most of the season. We signed him from the Texans. He hurt his shoulder pretty bad right on the sideline in front of the fans, and all he was doing was just a punt coverage drill. So he didn't really get hit. I don't know what happened. It was tough to see. But he was on the ground for a long time. They had to bring out the cart for him to go out on the cart to get back into the locker room. And they're saying it's a shoulder. So he's going to be out for this week. We don't really know the extent of the injury, but not great because we're kind of running out. Like, we got him with the purpose of him being our special teamer. And now we're going to have to rely on some younger guys to take a spot if it is a long-term injury. Same thing with Xavier Gibson. He's also going to be out this week. Opens up some opportunity for Malachi Corley. But he hurt his shoulder right at the end of practice. And once that happened, it was right after Justin Fields got hit. They just pulled the team off and ended practice because I think it wasn't a good practice and it was kind of getting out of hand. So Xavier Gibson's out. Sauce was limping at the end of practice and they pulled him out, but it doesn't sound like there was anything bad. I think he played again today. He practiced again today. So I don't think we have anything to worry about with Sauce. But that was my recap. That was practice. I mean, it was disappointing, but it was great to be out there. It was a beautiful day out. It was good to see actual scrimmage type plays where it was the first team offense versus the first team defense, full out 11 on 11 with some hitting. It wasn't it wasn't full tackling, but you hit people still. So it was cool to see real football. I just wish there was a better performance. Now, I think the biggest piece from practice that came out of it, which I thought was a really cool moment, was us as fans, we're doing the Jets chant on the sideline probably 3 or 4 times just to amp people up. A little kid was doing the chant, leading everybody. So it was fun. And at the end of practice, Aaron Glenn goes to the podium and he started to get emotional. He almost started crying, saying today was the day that it really hit him that he is the coach of the New York Jets because of the Jets chant he heard. And he was talking about how grateful he is and thankful that he was able to get this job. So I thought that was a really nice moment from someone who's one of us. Because other coaches in the past, you don't feel that because you weren't a part of the organization before. But with him, homegrown player has been here since I've been alive was when he started as a part of the Jets organization. So yeah, it was a cool moment. But then I was also looking for him to rip into the team for a bad practice. So we didn't really get that because he was a little emotional there. But I thought it was a cool moment. But all right, so they got a couple more practices this week, and then they'll go into the game on Saturday. I think what I'm going to do is probably recap the game on Sunday, so maybe we'll do an earlier podcast instead of doing Monday night. So we'll see how that goes. But let's take a pause, quick gym break. The only thing I have to say is the Mets are so up and down. I don't know what to do with them. They win 3. I think they swept the Giants in San Francisco. Then they got swept by the Padres. Then they're back and forth with the Giants right now. They had a give-up game yesterday. So it's been a rocky road. Trade deadline was really hot for the Mets. They have an unbelievable bullpen now, but they're not scoring runs. So it's this weird back and forth. I just really hope we're in this little slump. We're going back and forth with the Phillies for first place right now. Can we get out of this and get back to being the Mets of April or of May and early June before things started to go downhill? So we'll see how it goes, but rough times to be a Mets fan right now. But we're still in it. We're still in it right now. So, all right, so that was it. Let's now review. The Jets came out with their first official depth chart of the regular season, of the preseason. What that means is it basically tells you who is the starter at each position, who's the second string, who's the third string, fourth string, however many strings they have. So let's go through it really quick and just see if there are any surprises or anything like that. So let's do quarterbacks first. Justin Fields, obviously quarterback 1 listed, Tyrod number 2. Adrian Martinez, they have a QB3 over Brady Cook. Not surprising. It feels like they're putting a lot of the rookies behind in the depth chart just to, I guess, motivate them to get ahead. So right now, Brady Cook is QB4. With the running backs, nothing that you wouldn't expect. Brees, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, and Kene Nwangwu. I was saying Nguanu last time, but it's Nwangwu because he's probably going to be our kick returner. So he is RB4, and then you got all the random other guys at RB5. Fullback, we got 1 and 1 only, Andrew Beck. We'll see if we actually keep a fullback on the team. Wide receiver. So starters, Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, and Josh Reynolds. They don't label who is wide receiver 1, 2, or 3. But obviously it's Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 1. And then probably Reynolds, then Lazard. For the second string wide receivers, they got Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson, Tyler Johnson. So as you can see, some of the veterans are getting precedent over the rookies. Good to see Malachi Corley in that bucket. Let's see if he can really steal a spot from a Xavier Gibson while he's out, or get ahead of guys like Jamal Pritchett, Brandon Smith, because the third strings are Arian Smith, Jamal Pritchett, Brandon Smith. Both Jamal Pritchett and Brandon Smith have had great camps. I didn't see much from Jamal Pritchett on Saturday, but I did see some from Brandon Smith. He looks really good. So it'd be interesting to see if Brandon Smith can make the team, especially if he can play special teams, because we need someone who can do that right now. And then you got some other random wide receivers in fourth string and fifth string. Tight end, very interesting. Tight end 1, Jeremy Ruckert. I don't think that's a real thing. I think they're just same thing, putting a rookie behind a veteran. Mason Taylor at tight end 2. He will and should be tight end 1. Then they have Stone Smart at tight end 3. Neil Johnson, tight end 4, and Zach Kuntz, tight end 5. So Zach Kuntz has a long way to go, even though he had a good practice on Saturday. All right, let's do offensive line. Obviously, the 5 that we know and love: Olu, John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Armand Membu. I'm surprised they'd put Membu at the starting right tackle already. I thought they would put him behind, just like they've done with some of the other rookies, but good to see. I also love that in the competition between Tippmann and Myers, they still have Tippmann at center 1. They have Max Mitchell at tackle 2. Same thing with Chuck Okorafor at tackle 2. So nothing surprising there. But Carter Warren is tackle 3. So that's a little bit. He's got a ways to go. I haven't heard or seen much from him in all of practice. I'm trying to think if anyone else stands out. Samuel Jackson, not the actor, but the lineman, is fourth string. So he might have a tough time making the team. All right, off to the defense. Now, I will say they have Jermaine Johnson still not technically on the depth chart. He's technically fifth string because he's not cleared to play yet. He is not in practice. So Jermaine Johnson will not be on this list. But let's start with D-line. We got Quinn Williams and Byron Cowart, the 2 starters at defensive tackle. Then they've got Jay Tefele and Derek Nandi. I guess the big one here was who was going to start next to Quinn Williams, and right now it's Byron Cowart, and it still feels like that. It looks like he's getting a lot of runs with the ones, and he's going to be pretty consistent there. The one that I'm disappointed in is Leonard Taylor being third string. I really want him to make this team and be an impactful player on this team, but I just haven't seen a lot from him yet. Fidarian Mathis was also defensive tackle 3. And then you got Peyton Page, the undrafted free agent, at defensive tackle 4, but I think he's flashing a lot in practice and could make a splash if he has good preseason games. On the edge, you got Will McDonald and Michael Clemens as your edge 1s. Will McDonald, no surprise, playing amazing. Michael Clemens, I feel like we got to see how Aaron Glenn uses him. I really don't like him. I feel like we overused him last year. If we can use him in spurts, in things that he's good at, then okay. But if he's like our starter, going to be on 3-down edge player, then we're in trouble. So we need Jermaine back. That's really where I'm at. Second string, we got Rashad Weaver and Eric Watts. Good for Eric Watts making the second string here. He's an undrafted free agent from last year and played a little bit in the regular season. So good to see him. Third, you got the rookie Tyler Barron, and then undrafted free agent from last year, Braden McGregor out of Michigan. And then finally, you got Michael Fletcher and then a few other folks. So no real big surprises there. We'll see if Tyler Barron can break through or if Braden McGregor can break through. But we need some help on the edge, so we'll see how that goes. Linebacker. So we got 3 linebackers listed. We've got Jamian Sherwood, Quincy Williams, and surprise, Marcelino McCrary Ball. Been on the team for a few years, a little bit. I think he's like 26, so not a young. He's not like a rookie or anything like that. But he is ahead of Jamin Davis, which I'm really surprised about. Davis, former first-round pick from the Commanders, that is on the Jets. And then on the second string, so you got Davis, you got Kiko Mawagoa and Zaire Barnes, 2 draft picks from the last 2 years. And then that's really it. I feel like those are your 6. Maybe you keep 5, so either Marcelino McCrary Ball, Jamin Davis, or Zaire Barnes are probably the one to go. So we'll see how that works out. Then you got slot corner. There's only 2 listed. You got Michael Carter, no doubter, and then Jordan Clark. I haven't seen a lot from Jordan Clark, so not sure what that's going to look like, but we'll see him definitely in these preseason games. All right, corner 1 and corner 2. You got Sauce Gardner and Brandon Stevens locking down each side. Now, I'm really excited about this. Quantez Stiggers has had some great practices over the last couple weeks. He is listed as a second string corner along with JBC, Jarek Bernard Converse. I love those two guys. They're two young guys who are playing really well. Like I said, Quantez Stiggers, he's the guy that I want to make the team the most out of probably anybody because I love his story. And then you got your third string, Chris Boyd, who just got hurt, and Azareye'h Thomas, our third round pick. I really feel like Azareye'h Thomas is probably second string, but he still's a decent way to go. Like, I don't think he's, we talked about him potentially being a starter and taking snaps away from Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens looks way better than him right now. So he's got a little ways to go, but I think he's really exciting, and I'm excited to have him on the team. All right, and then finally, safeties. You get the two starters, Andre Cisco and Tony Adams. So no surprise that they put Tony Adams over Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore was actually out of practice on Saturday with an injury. So it's a bummer to see because he was playing really well. But hopefully he can get back out there for these Giants practices next week. So you got Malachi Moore and Isaiah Oliver, safety 2. Isaiah Oliver, they're going to play all over the place. So I don't think, sure, he's listed as a safety, but he's going to play slot corner. He's going to play regular corner. He'll be all over the field. And then finally, you got Jarius Monroe and Dean Clark. Jarius Monroe has actually been surprising a lot of people in practice. So we'll see if he can make the team. And I think a lot of these guys who are on the fringe, it's can you play special teams or not? That's going to be the big difference. And then finally, if you look at special teams, Nick Folk is kicker 1 with the thicker kicker being kicker 2. I am really nervous about both these guys right now, so we'll see what happens in these preseason games. Austin McNamara is our only punter, so he is the only one on the depth chart. I'm interested to see if they pull someone in, but it sounds like he's had a pretty good camp. Punt returner and kick returner go to Xavier Gibson for now, but I think Jamal Pritchett, Kine Nwanwu, Arian Smith all have a shot at taking that job from him. So that's going to be a really fun one to watch in the preseason. And then finally, the lock of the century, probably the longest tenured Jet, the best player on our team, our long snapper, Thomas Hennessy, locked in as the only long snapper on the team. So that is the overview of our depth chart. There's a lot that's going to change over the next 3 to 4 weeks, especially with waiver claims, people we pick up, people we cut. So we'll see how it all goes, but cool to see it all roll out. I think the biggest surprise, well, not really surprise, but thing that you probably expected, but it was interesting to see, is that the rookies are really taking a backseat to the veterans, and I think that's going to shake up a lot over the next few weeks. So with that, that is my episode of the Juicy Jet podcast. My last thing that we need to do, obviously, is answer this trivia question. So my trivia question was, in 2009, the New York Jets traded up to number 5 overall in the draft with the Cleveland Browns. They traded their 17th pick, their second round pick number 52, as well as Kenyon Coleman, a defensive end, Abram Elam, a safety, and which quarterback? And the answer to that question is Brett Ratliff. That is a tough one. Now for me, I was a little bit younger. I was in high school at the time, and I didn't know as much about football as I do now. And for some reason, I really liked Brett Ratliff. I don't know why. And I didn't understand draft picks and how trading worked and how important it was to get a good young quarterback. So I had Chad Pennington for most of my life growing up. And sure, he got hurt a bunch, but I didn't have to worry about drafting a quarterback early. So when we traded Brett Ratliff, I was a little upset. But then realizing that Mark Sanchez was supposed to be really good and he's the guy that everyone wanted to get his jersey and be a fan of, and he was going to take us to the promised land. I think they put him on the cover of the newspaper, like Joe Namath or whatever. They called him the Sanchize. Then I got excited about him. Of course, it didn't really work out. I mean, he took us to 2 AFC Championship games, most successful quarterback we've had in the past 50 years, something like that. But yeah, he didn't last very long and wasn't very good, unfortunately. But Brett Ratliff, I think he might have played for the Browns for a little bit, but then never played again. So I think that one kind of worked out for us. So we'll take it. And the funny part is, if you think about this, trading from 17 to 5, if you did that today, you would have to trade a massive, massive haul. But since the new coach of the Cleveland Browns was Eric Mangini, all we did was Mike Tannenbaum called up his old buddy, Eric Mangini, and they were still friends. The only reason why why Mangini got fired is because he didn't get along with Woody, and he was kind of aggressive a little bit. And he was able to give away nothing. He just gave away 3 of Eric Mangini's favorite players and then 2 picks. That's nothing in today's game. That would have been probably 3 first-round picks we would have had to give up to move that far. So, hey, good for us. Worked out. Thank you, Eric Mangini. Appreciate you being a friend. And yeah, so Brett Ratliff, never forget. All right, everybody. Well, that is it. I appreciate the time. I'm so excited for this week and getting to Saturday because it's finally back. It's finally here. New York Jets football, and it doesn't count. So even if they suck, it's okay. And if they're great, it's even better. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you all for listening. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, rate, review, smash up those likes all over Juicy Jet 25 on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and of course on YouTube. And I will talk to you all soon. See ya.